So it's time for our first segment, Tips from the Trenches. So in this segment, we share some of our own self-publishing and writing tips. Obviously, here at BookFunnel, our author support team, we all happen to be self-published authors. So we have experienced this firsthand. We also help authors with BookFunnel and other self-publishing related things. Emma, what do you have one prepared for us today? I'm going to put you on the spot.
I do, kind of going along with the holiday marketing theme and little things you can do that we mentioned in episode 1. And I was thinking about, I can't pull a special edition out of the air right now, but what I can do is embed a digital signature in some of my already live paperbacks, maybe commission some interior artwork. And then I was thinking about creating little mystery packs. You know how when you go to like some indie bookstores, they'll have like the mystery pack on
Yeah.
the tropes. And I'm like,
Is it like date with a book?
Yeah, I could do like date with a book and, maybe offer a few of those in my newsletter, set up a Etsy real quick, or PayHip is super simple to set up. A couple of Instagram posts, but I'm like, okay, just how can you repurpose stuff you already have, spruce it up a bit? And I'm figuring a date with a book, that's not a huge investment.
No, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, that sounds like
that.
especially
that, update you all.
What was that?
I'll do that and update you all.
Yes. No, I want to see results. I want to see all the numbers. I want to see all of them. My tip, and this is like craft, not necessarily craft related, but so we're talking about word counts, we're talking about writing, because obviously, this is advice that I repeat all the time, and you hear everybody repeat all the time. It's the advice that you're going to hear constantly, or should be hearing constantly in the self-publishing realm, which is you should always be writing your next book, right? And so that's not my tip, by the way. I'm just prefacing that. Like, oh, come on, that's such low-hanging fruit. Well, so obviously you need to be writing every day, but it can be a struggle, especially when you have a full-time job. Maybe, you got kids, you got other things, you got crazy coworkers like me, stuff like that you've got to deal with. And so what I found, and I've had trouble with in the past, is making that transition to like whatever it is I happen to be doing to writing. And I oftentimes will have multiple writing sessions during the day, and I have to go from like recording a podcast to then going to writing, and then after that I'm doing something else, or I'm at the gym and then I'm writing after that, or I'm transitioning from a lot of different things to writing. And to get into that state of mind, one thing that I've found helps me, and this is the tip, now that I've buried the lead significantly or sufficiently here, if you're having trouble getting into that mindset of writing, go back and read what you wrote in your last session. You don't even necessarily need to read the whole thing, but that part of your brain that's the writer part of your brain is going to kick in. And I found that helps me just to go from whatever it is I happen to be doing, especially if I only have a short amount of time to write and I haven't had a lot of prep time to like get myself hyped and like ready to go. I find just going back and rereading what I just wrote, or maybe like if it's I'm continuing a chapter from a certain character's point of view, go back to the last chapter from that character's point of view, reread some of that. I don't even necessarily have to reread the whole thing. It helps get me in the groove, get me in the mood,
Definitely,
so to speak. So
nice one.
Yeah. Kelli.
All right. Well, actually, we kind of segued to it because I was actually thinking about it when I was putting together my flow test. My tip is, learn from Kelli, have all of those things set up. And I'm sure this is probably going to be part of our conversation today, but having the way that you're going to reach your readers that isn't just your social media. Because I think when I first started, I was focusing on building a presence on Facebook with my pen name and doing all those things and not really thinking about how to capture readers and keep them for myself and not have them on a platform that could close my account or, those kinds of things. So, having that be part of, your plan, and then having ways in which, like already set, So before you publish your book, because it gets a little crazy, I think we talked about this last week, it gets a little crazy after your first release and you've got all these things going on. And then you're like, oh, my newsletter. So my suggestion is get your newsletter set up before you have any readers to put on it. Do your welcome sequence before you have any readers that need to see it. Have your reader magnet tied to that entire sequence and have that ready to go before you publish your book. That's my thing.
No,
Because
it's a
now,
lot
right
easier.
now, I'm like scrambling to put a welcome sequence together because I've never really had a great system. And now I know better and I'm trying to work on that. So,
And it's a lot easier to do when you don't have to juggle all those other aspects of publishing.
right. Ads and figuring out Amazon ads and figuring out Facebook ads and figuring out, you know, doing that sort of stuff. So that's fine.
Yeah. I think there's definitely some ducks that you need to have in a row there. But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Andrew, do you have anything to share? Any specific tips?
I do. This is a tip I always give. I've given this tip before. It's one of my favorite tips. And like yours, I think it needs a little bit of setup. So
yeah,
this is a true thing, I'll say, but this isn't the tip. So in terms of craft, I think, most of us are taught you should avoid, adverbs to a degree when writing, right? Because obviously there's no hard and fast 100% rules, but in general, an adverb is usually an imprecise description of what you really mean. If you say he walked slowly to the door, and what you really mean is he snuck to the door, and the reader might not pick that up, or he plodded to the door, those are very different things. So one of this tip that I got from a book, I must have read this book over a decade ago, and it was a book about writing. And I remember really thinking, this is not a very good book about writing. Like, I didn't like the book in general, but then I got to this one tip and I was like, wow, that's a great idea. And the tip was, when you're doing your revisions, on your manuscript, do a document search for ly, because most adverbs end in ly. And even if you're consciously trying to avoid them, you'll be surprised like how many sneak through without thinking about it. And that way you can catch them and see, like, is there a more precise word I can use there? Is this really what I meant? And that's a good way to like find those adverbs have kind of snuck through without you being aware of them.
Yeah, that's a good one. I already do some searches through my manuscript for other purposes, like
right.
Yeah,
I have my list of like common misspellings. I already know
right.
I always do,
Right. Like I write on my phone because I'm psychotic. Like with my thumbs, I mean, that's one of my weird quirks. And so sometimes words get auto-corrected, or like I type on, but it shows up as or, and vice versa. And so I already searched for those. So that's an easy one to add. I like that.
Yeah. I for whatever reason, I have no idea why, but I misspell the word the frequently in a way that autocorrects to hotel. So like there'll be these like hotel scattered through my thing when I'm like, okay, that's a the.
That's something similar happens to me because I have the Scrivener app on my phone, and I write directly in that. And for whatever reason, it auto fills words and phrases differently there than it will outside of that app. And it sometimes depending on how the sentence is structured, I'll start typing and will think I'm trying to write the word theoretical. And it will put the whole thing in there. And then I usually catch it, but every now and then I miss it.
Slips through, yeah. But yeah, there's all kinds of ways you can use search for revisions, but I just thought that was a really clever way. And I tried it and I was really surprised, how many adverbs were in there that I hadn't been aware of, and that and when I looked at them, I was like, oh, I really meant something else here. So I was able to,
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good one.
You're a BookFunnel admin and we have all of our little text shortcuts. You have to check your manuscript for those too.
I didn't think about that.
I didn't think of that.
It's a big one for me. For whatever reason, I'm slow with BF or MID, and then it will insert, you guys know what those text short, and then I'll have to go through once in a while. I'll be like,
oh goodness, that hasn't happened to me before. It probably will though. So it's a
random BookFunnel in the middle of your text.
To fill everybody in. This is a technique that I taught Emma and Kelli. This is not me trying to take credit for it, but this is something that I developed and then I shared with other members of the team and shared with them, which is using text replacements. because when you're having to send emails to people, obviously we type out every email. They're not sent by robots, but sometimes it's nice to have certain things, like especially links to parts of our knowledge base. We don't want to have to like open the window and copy and paste. And so I created this kind of system of like shortcuts that you type that in and it would replace it with the desired link. And yet one of those, if you have BF there to be replaced with BookFunnel, yeah, that could be interesting. Could be interesting there. I have some of those that now that you think about it.
Yeah.
I should go back and check for that. Make sure
Your editor's going to be like, why did you put this here?
Yeah, it's don't know. It was my kid. My kid grabbed my computer and put that in there, right?
Why is there a random mid-list author plan in the middle of your chapter?
Yeah, that'll happen.